and welcome to the first Lake Misfit devlog. My name is Pascal and I'm currently working on a game called Lake Misfit for almost a year in my free time now. On this channel I want to document my further progress and show you what I'm currently working on. So I guess I have to say it, if you like this video and if you like what I'm doing here, please hit the like button and consider to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes of this devlog series. I guess the best way to start this video is to tell you what the game is really about and what is the idea behind it. And after that I will show you what I'm currently working on, what tools I use, and tell you something about my general development process. So let's jump right in. Let me start by telling you what kind of game Lake Misfit is supposed to be. To describe the game idea in one weird sentence, Lake Misfit is a roguelike game in an 80s horror movie setting with a conditional turn-based battle system which then focuses heavily on mini and rhythm games to perform attacks, spells or whatever. So yeah, it's quite a lot and I actually struggle a lot to elevator pitch this idea, so I better show you what I mean in a step-by-step manner. Step 1. Roguelike. I'm a big fan of roguelike games like Binding of Isaac or Enter the Gungeon. So like these games, Lake Misfit has randomly generated levels for each playthrough and permadeath. The player will start every playthrough with just basic abilities and no special items like weapons or trinkets, which you will then be able to collect, and since they're random as well, every playthrough is supposed to feel very unique. I'm not quite sure if I will stick to this idea, but my current plan is to let the player start with one chosen character and then they'll be able to pick up other random characters on the playthrough. Since I want to make a roguelike and not a roguelite, I don't plan to implement a progress system like, for example, in Rogue Legacy or Dead Cells, which would make later playthroughs easier. But I do want to have unlockable items and characters so that there will be more variety in later playthroughs. If you want to learn more about roguelikes and roguelites, I highly recommend this video from Game Maker's Toolkit. I'll put the link in the description. Step 2. Setting. The setting for Lake Misfit is heavily inspired by horror movies, especially campy 70s and 80s horror movies like Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street or other popular examples. I don't have any kind of well-written lore or story at the moment, but the idea is that something spooky happened on Halloween at Lake Misfit and now everyone and everything in this area is going to attack and fight our outcast heroes, who for whatever reason are not affected by the spooky thingy. So with this really crude idea of a story, I'm now able to pick from all my favorite horror movie settings. For example, what you are currently seeing is the small suburban town called Misfit Town, and it's mainly inspired by John Carpenter's Halloween and other suburban slasher flicks. Other than that, I would love to include settings like a summer camp called Camp Misfit, a high school, a shopping mall, a cemetery, and of course a lake called Lake Misfit. Step 3. Battle system. I do love classic Japanese roleplay games, especially the Final Fantasy series. So when I started this project, I went with an ATB battle system like in all the PlayStation 1 Final Fantasy games. You would have to choose an action very quick or your enemy might start attacking you first. But in the end I didn't really like this very much, because there's already enough action in the minigames you have to succeed in after you picked an action, so I thought a CTB system like in Final Fantasy X, where you have all the time you need to pick an action, would fit the game best, and I'm currently very happy with it. It shows you a turn order which you can manipulate by slowing down the enemies or speeding up your characters. This allows for more strategic gameplay and the player now also has some time to breathe. Step 4. Minigames. Every character is supposed to have a basic attack with a very simple minigame challenge, which does not cost anything to perform. Then you will pick up or buy weapons and trinkets during the playthrough, which will give you special attacks. These are more complex and will cost you some kind of resource like mana or spirit. I have not decided on any name yet, so if you have any fancy ideas, just drop me a comment. What I also want to do is to put some risks on special attacks. For example, the gamer character can attack with an asteroids-inspired minigame, which does hurt the enemies when you shoot asteroids, but it also hurts the player character when you get hit by an asteroid. So there are actions which might help you to do a lot of damage, but you're also risking your own health. I hope this will cause the player to make some interesting decisions and not just spam the strongest attack at all times. So, now you know something about the idea behind Lake Misfit. Like I already said, I'm working on this game in my free time next to my full-time job and my other hobbies, so I don't have any ambitious plans to release it very soon. The idea is to keep working on this game in a relaxed manner in my free time and to share my further progress via this Devlog series and via social media. If you don't want to miss out on anything, consider following me on Twitter or join the Discord server. Both links are in the description. And if you have any questions or want to know anything about the game or the development process in particular, feel free to leave me a comment in the comment section. Now it's the time to take a look behind the curtains, where I will show you what I've already implemented, what's already there, and tell you something about the tools I'm using, and yeah, let's jump right in. Disclaimer first. Like I already mentioned, I'm working on this game for quite some time now, so I will not dive deep into every system I created. I want to give you a brief overview over my processes and then show you what systems and what content is already there. In future videos, I will then give you a more detailed view of specific aspects of the game and also review some systems that are already implemented. If you want me to highlight something you're especially interested in, please feel free to DM me or write a comment and I'll try to consider it for future episodes. So enough for the disclaimer, let me start by showing you what tools I use. Game Engine. I work with Unity 3D because I'm already working with it since I started to develop games as a hobby in 2015. I studied computer science and I also earn my living as a Unity game programmer. So from all aspects of game development, the coding is actually the one I feel most confident in. That doesn't mean I'm a Unity expert, there's still an awful lot to learn, but I really enjoy to learn new stuff, and what I like a lot about Lake Misfit is that it gives me a lot of possibilities to work on certain fields I'm not very good at. For example, I don't know an awful lot about shader programming, so I plan to dive deep into 2D shader development to achieve some nice retro-visual effects and maybe also some shadows. 2D art. For the pixel art I'm using Sprite, where I create every piece of 2D art you can see in the game. I really love this tool because it is just 100% perfect for pixel art, and even a person like me, who is not really an artist, can quickly learn the basics and create some pixel thingies like this aquarium, for example, which look at least acceptable. It's also not really expensive, so that's great. To create the different rooms, I'm currently working with Tiled, a software to create tile sets and tile maps. From there I then export just the plain graphics to Unity, put some colliders on it, put some lighting on it, and then bam! There's a new room to put in the world generation. By the way, I recently started to remaster all the environment, so here you can see an older build of the game with my first iteration of the 2D art, which I did not really like in the end. I don't think it's terrible, but I'm much happier with my new art. There are still some things, like the trees for example, I'm not 100% satisfied with, but for now it's okay, I guess. Music and sound effects. When it comes to music, I work with FL Studio, where for example I created the music you're currently listening to. I do play electric guitar and I have some very basic understanding of songwriting, so with these basic skills I try to create some tunes that fit the game's atmosphere, which is actually much harder than I did expect. But it's also great motivation to become better at guitar, songwriting and music production. Even if I will not become a pro in any of the art departments, I still hope that I'll be able to create something that's good enough for the game. For sound effects, I'm using BFXR, which is a free tool that just creates random 8-bit inspired sound effects for different uses. I don't think they fit the game super well, but for the moment I'll work with them because it's so convenient. What is already there? So what is already in the game? Let's start with the player characters. There are currently 3 different character classes which are playable. The Metalhead, who has a guitar and focuses heavily on rhythm games like in Guitar Hero. Then there's the Ghost character with the ability to summon monsters or famous horror icons. At the moment there's just one summon, Edgar Allan Poe. The last of the bunch is the gamer character, who has to collect cartridges to access all kinds of different video game special attacks. For now there's a simple runner game and an asteroids inspired cartridge. Then of course there are enemies. Implemented with one basic attack are zombies, skeletons, an arcade machine, witches in 3 different colors, a kid dressed as Dracula and a kid dressed as the devil himself. They are all supposed to have at least 2, better 3 different attacks, but for the moment they'll just always choose the one attack they are given. I also have some art ready for more enemies I have not yet implemented. Here you can see the clown character, and there's a ghost pirate I really like a lot, to be honest. I'm super excited to put him into the game. What I want to do next. At the moment I'm working on equipments like trinkets and weapons. Trinkets are supposed to give your characters passive stat changes like elemental defensive boost or attack boosts. Oh yeah, there are actual damage element types in the game. I wanted to have some kind of unique ones, so there is physical basic attack damage, wisdom damage, science damage, horror damage and holy damage. It's a bit tricky to figure out what attack and what enemy is supposed to do what kind of damage, but I like the flavor, so I guess I'll keep it that way. Anyways, back to topic. Trinkets are implemented to some degree. You can find them, you can pick them up and equip them, but they are not doing anything at the moment. So that's a task I'm currently working on. The same goes for weapons, which are also supposed to give your character stat boosts, but you will be able to equip the weapons with attacks you can find or buy. Other than that, I want to play around with shaders to see if I can add some nice retro visual effects to the overall game. That's already it for today's devlog. I hope you found some of the things I showed you interesting, and if so, and if you want to, you can see me again and the game again in the next entry of this devlog series. I'm not super sure in what frequency I will be able to upload these videos, but I really hope to be able to post at least once a month. With no further things to say, bye bye and thank you for watching.